Today, I just want to talk briefly about why it's so hard for men to do somatic embodiment practices. Let's get into it. So I got this question sent to me the other day by someone on Instagram asking, why do men rarely do embodiment practices? And I was thinking about my upcoming Embodied Masculinity group, which you can get the link in the episode details. And what makes it so unique, and what the men have told me from the last 3 years of doing them, is they've never been in a space where they, as men, with other men only, they've never been in a space where they're able to actually go in and feel their bodies and feel safe doing so. And what's important to understand about this is it is argued, and for some it's not an argument, it's such a fact, that men have had the privilege in society for a long time. And that's true. The privilege in society, meaning they've had the external privileges. So they've had the privileges of work. They've had the privileges of conquest. They've had the privileges of leaving, even to hunt. And hunting might be more of a role than a privilege. But when it turns into the traditional role that men play in a society and in a home and in a village, their work has been traditionally to go outward. So the outside world has been what men have gotten to know, gotten to dominate, and even gotten really comfortable with. Externalized force, externalized movement. When I say masculine, I'm thinking of energy that moves outward. When I say feminine, I'm thinking of energy that moves inward. I'm not thinking man or woman, even though men and women definitely have amplified masculine and feminine traits based on their sex hormones, predominantly. There's even some studies that find really masculine lesbians have more testosterone and really feminine gay men have more estrogen. And the same can be true for heterosexuals. However, I digress for a moment. I want to go back to this issue, or something we notice in our culture, especially in healing circles, of why men rarely practice embodiment work. I'm going to talk about or cite a very controversial figure. Her name is Camille Paglia. She's a feminist, a lesbian, and she actually identified as transgender way before anyone used the word transgender, because transgender for her means you go beyond your gender role, whereas transsexual for her, which is what I agree with, is where you have to change your sex in order to feel, appear as the sex you wanted to be born as, not what you were born as, to treat your dysphoria. So she's an interesting character, and she writes some incredible books. And I read her book, Sexual Persona, 15 years ago, and I'll never forget this piece that she wrote in it, where she said, women develop their sexuality internally. They have to feel their ovaries getting developed. They feel their period and their cramps. Blood comes out, but from this deep internal mystery. So women develop themselves, their sense of self, in the mystery. So it's more of a sensing, feeling, trusting, inner knowing experience through puberty. Men develop a sense of themselves externally. If you think of the sexual organs, the penis gets bigger, the testicles actually drop, they come out from where the womb would be, and you see them, they're more pronounced, you feel them, their muscles grow, and there's a pushing out into the world. I often cite this when I'm teaching about masculinity as an energy, because sex hormones are what trigger more or less masculinity, essentially. You have more testosterone, you have more masculine energy. You have more estrogen, you have more feminine energy. And what I mean by that, I think about transsexuals a lot. I have a good handful of transsexual friends who were born female and have transitioned to appear and live as male. And in their transitioning, when they started taking testosterone, their female sex organ, their clitoris, actually expanded and grew, sometimes up to 2 inches. And they have what's referred to medically as a micropenis. That's an important little case study about what testosterone and masculine energy does. It makes something grow out into the world. So I'm saying all that so we can just get a sense of masculine is that externalized energy, feminine is an internalized energy. Most men, especially men who are traditionally raised, have externalized energy, or they've been expected to and they don't, and they have a lot of dysphoria around being a man because they're a little more internal and feminine. But somatics are such feminine practices. They are these going inward, trusting what you feel and developing an inner sense of yourself, not one you can necessarily see or prove, but one you can feel, one you can intuit, one you can sense. Women, for the most part, have built that ability to sense from within because of their development, because of their conditioning, and because of their lineages and their traditions. The female, the feminine, is the internal. Now, some people get triggered by that because they think, Luis, you're saying women should be stuck in the house all day raising kids? No, I'm not. I'm saying the feminine energy and the female body is made to take things in, to birth things from within, to grow things within, and then release them. That's how the body is designed by nature. So there's this incredible sense of internalization. Whereas the male body is designed by nature to be more externalized, to do much more external tasks, and to externalize sexuality even. So men have a very hard time with somatics because suddenly they're being confronted with a very feminine energy practice. They're being confronted with slowly going inside and feeling parts of their body they've never felt before because their conditioning, their reward system, and what's been socially normalized is them being an external force. So a lot of them will feel uncomfortable going into this much more sensational, sensual, feminine practice. Listen, do you hear something? That's the sound of warm, delicious, glorious Costa Rica. And this is where I am headed next. On February 28th, I'm hosting a week-long retreat at the stunning Blue Spirit Retreat Center, and it's going to focus on recovering from emotional eating and people-pleasing by finding safety within. And there's truly not a better place for me to teach this than Blue Spirit. Blue Spirit has created a literal sanctuary for wildlife, native plants, and people who are lucky enough to retreat there. Picture a vibrant jungle canopy atop a hill with a saltwater infinity pool, yoga classes, next-level local cuisine, and beautiful views of the land and sea. Not to mention the very special, magical experience of wading in the saltwater pool while a crew of little baby monkeys rests on the branches above you. Your room is situated just minutes from the most beautiful ocean I've ever met, with tide pools featuring everything from blue octopus to starfish and a rainbow variety of tropical fish. And yes, I will be personally introducing you to each and every one of them. So let's go into the retreat itself. I'll be joined by my dear friends Zach and Camille as we teach you the art of finding safety in yourself, especially as it relates to fawning and people-pleasing and eating habits, which are all very connected. I'm going to teach you how to eat to recover from stress and trauma, how to use food cravings as a compass for unmet needs, how to tend to your capacity for being seen and being uncomfortable so you can stop fawning so much, and how to embody and ground big emotions and sensations that arise in your body. It's an easy flight to the airport, and Blue Spirit will manage your transportation from there. Visit holisticlifenavigation.com and click on events for more information, or click on the link in the episode details. We will be waiting for you on the other side in glorious, warm, vibrant Costa Rica. I'm a male teacher, and I've taught all over the world. I've taught thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people in the last 5 years. Men make up a minute amount of my audience, minute. If I have a class with about 350, 400 people in it, I can count probably 20, 30 men. That's profound. The only time I see a dominance of men in any space is when I do a men's only space, because it speaks to the very things that they sit with and don't know how to be with. So they don't believe they're able to be in the space, or they should be in the space, or they fear the space. So my Embodied Masculinity group is really special because men are coming together to do the practice of invoking the feminine to feel what's inside, something some men have never done in their lives. And when they do it together with other men collectively, all this social conditioning starts to fall apart. Because unlike other groups where you're trying to prove masculinity or yell really loud or lift things really heavy or punch things or whatever it is, these external masculine tropes, which are also part of being masculine. It is good to do that. I think, especially when you're like me, when you've been relegated to a desk job, or you have a feminine experience growing up, or you have a lot of negative connotations with men and masculinity because of abuse and so on and so forth. You might reject some of that nature that wants to be really big and loud because you don't want to be dominant or abusive. Totally get that. And there's way more to us than just these common examples and expressions of masculinity. When you go into your body, you lose identity. You lose the idea of what it means to be a man, and you go into the reality of, how does my masculinity move through this male body? How does my femininity move through this male body? One of my favorite memories was from this man several years ago in one of the groups. And I remember as the class went on, he got less rigid when he would talk. He would start moving his shoulders. He would move his hands in this way. It was almost like he was dancing with the wind. And it looked very feminine, very beautiful, very sensual and elegant. And I remember him saying, I feel so comfortable now moving my body when I'm being seen and when I'm speaking, whereas I used to feel really rigid because I thought it meant being a man. I thought being a man meant being very rigid and very strong and very fixed, and nothing's going to bother me. Nothing can push me over. And he found this fluidity, this flexibility, this movement that he overcoupled with women was the way his feminine moved through him. And when a man is really comfortable with their feminine, their masculinity is even more secure. I find that men understand their masculinity through understanding and invoking their femininity. That when both polarities are living in their bodies and they're able to be with them and move with them and express them, they respect the feminine more, which often means having more respect for women, and they know how to be with their masculine. So they don't become dominant, they don't become overwhelming, they don't go into, quote, toxic expressions of masculinity or being a man. Instead, they're in a really secure place because their polarities are secure and their polarities are balanced within them. I also remember a man saying, I'm no longer outsourcing my feminine to the women in my life. This was a straight man who would date women and glom onto their feminine aspects because he didn't have any of his own. And when he started feeling his own feminine, he realized, I can enjoy being with this woman and enjoy her femininity, but I'm not thirsty for it because I have this sense of my own now. And he was able to feel softness and depth and a kind of internalization of his feelings and feeling how they could come up and out, instead of expecting his partner to do it all for him or to do it all in their relationship all the time. So they got to be more fluid in how they expressed and how they held each other. So these are just some examples and some things I wanted to share in response to this question, because somatics is an amazing technology for men in particular. I would say Western men, even more American men, who come from lineages and generations where you're supposed to be cut off from your senses because that's the female, feminine, sissy thing to do. But when you go into your senses, which is a feminine thing to do, your masculine unfurls in a very real way, not in the way of the cinematic drag kings where corporations and people have shown us what it means to be a man, but in the way that is natural, in the way that may be ancestral to you and your lineage, in a way that's natural and honest for you in this moment. And it might change moment to moment, but you're not contriving or forcing it to come out a certain way because you're trying to seem more masculine. You're allowing your feminine and masculine to move through you based on the sensations that come up and how it feels in your body. So I highly, highly encourage you, if you are a woman, please tell the men in your life about this program. If you're a man, please sign up. It's a very, very special, rare place to go inwards, and from that, have much more security in expressing ourselves and being in a relationship with ourselves and with other people. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. I have developed a 4-week self-paced course that takes 18 years of my personal and professional experience and puts it into one place where you can easily and quickly learn the foundations of recovering from stress and trauma. How does the food you eat affect your stress levels? How do the relationships in your life create stress or peace? How does the relationship you have with your body allow you to feel happier and more settled? I will cover all this and so much more in this 4-week self-paced course. And the best part, it's self-paced. You don't have to sign up at a certain date or finish it at a certain time. It's yours for life, and it's waiting there for you when you're ready to finish it. Throughout this course, I'll be teaching you philosophies and practices that combine my 3 favorite modalities: somatic experiencing, embodied parts work, and nutrition. For more information on this course, click on the link in my episode details.